terrified right now is, as you know, all markets go up. And if the market goes down, President Trump will get the blame. And it's those guys. You see, the problem isn't in the stock market. The problem is in our bond markets. And the average person doesn't even know what a bond is because they don't have enough money. And we're being ripped off by the very people we trust our money to.
Please elaborate on that. As a self-made, Marine Corps veteran of Vietnam, a guy that's made hundreds of millions of dollars, #1 New York Times bestseller. When you don't usually talk like that. When you say you're horrified, I'm listening.
Well, all markets go up and all markets come down. It's like Lucy and the football. They're gonna pull the football away, and they really don't want Trump to do what he does. And you have Buffett up there. I mean. Look at what Buffett's doing. He's taken his money from stocks and put it into a railroad. Everybody should not listen to what Buffett is saying. Watch what he does. You should get.
He says, "Stay in stocks," while he's grabbing his money out as fast as he can.
I don't even trust what I hear anymore, or read, or I don't trust the media, and I think that's a deeper issue right now, when we can't trust our leaders and our media with fake news. So. I really have no comment.
No, I mean, I agree. Who knows what the truth is? And then they don't even know what happened. But then if we question it, they say we're bad.
Right, correct. And then, again, they're blaming guns and all this stuff. They want to take guns away. It's just a red herring. So
you've got the new book out. All your books are top bestsellers. Why the Rich Are Getting Richer. What is financial education? Talking about solutions here. I want to get into the book, and we're going to do that in a moment. But before we go any further, let me just ask you then, richdad.com is the big website. And again, a lot of these are just secrets that once you know them, you're like, wow, that's so simple. Why didn't I know that before? Reading your books has helped me so much, be independent. But looking at Trump, I mean, I don't want to involve myself in a butt-kissing deal here, but it's true. $4 trillion in the stock market, hundreds of billions in new jobs, 1.6 million new jobs, 3.1 growth rate they say he never had. And this is just getting rid of a few regulations, trying to deliver tax cuts, doing everything else he said. Why are they so against him when everybody, including Goldman Sachs, has made record profits the last 9 months under Trump? What's their problem? He's like shoveling success at them, and they're mad.
Well, I think the biggest reason is because most people are not getting richer. That's why my book is called Why the Rich Are Getting Richer. And the average person is not getting richer. And so that's why and the media is obviously a big part of that because they lie to us. But people are getting poorer, not richer, no matter how high that stock market goes. And that's the problem.
Explain it to me then. I mean, I haven't read the new book yet. I probably read, first book I read here as I was like 16 years old. Literally. So explain to me. What I'm.
There's fake news. In 1971, when Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard, the U.S. dollar became fake money. And I was in Vietnam in 72 when that happened. And I started to realize that the U.S. dollar was not designed to make us rich. The U.S. dollar, once it became fake, a fiat currency, was intentionally designed to steal our wealth and our lives. So that's why if you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which came out 20 years ago, I said the rich don't work for money and the rich avoid taxes, because the more you work for money, actually the poorer you get. Another example is I was at the bank yesterday doing desperately, because I have so much cash coming in, to hide it in different banks. And the bank teller sat there, she says, "Oh, we're going to give you 0.011%. I went, what? I mean, I've been so out of doing my own banking. I said, how does somebody survive on 0.011 or 15% when inflation is running at 9%? And so Americans are getting poorer just because they have no financial education in schools. Well, why is there no financial education in school? And these teachers kind of teach. And, my poor dad was a school teacher. He's a good man, but he doesn't know anything about money. And he's teaching kids that the rich are evil. And I'm going, wait a minute. Let me just say it again. Our monetary system is fake money. And the people that work for it, with that book, White Working Class and all that, they're getting ripped off. The harder they work for money, the more tax they pay. They put it in the bank, and inflation eats it away. And if they're in the stock market, they don't know how to handle it if the stock market comes down. And that's all basic financial education as advocates of financial education for everybody.
How did he fundamentally know the same secrets you knew? I mean, how did you discover this stuff?
Well, we both had rich dads. His dad was rich, and my rich dad was a rich guy. So in my latest book, Why the Rich Are Getting Richer, I explain how debt and taxes make the rich richer. In other words, it's ironic that, in 1971, the dollar became debt, an IOU from the U.S. Treasury and the Fed. And because it's debt, the more I use debt to buy assets, the less tax I pay. So the reason the rich are getting richer is they use debt and pay less in taxes legally.
Even before your book came out, my dad would explain, no, the rich are leveraging debt. It didn't make sense to me when I was like 14 years old, but that's what they're doing. But they teach us to go into debt and just to them for nothing instead of using the debt to build stuff.
Yes. You should use debt. I mean, you have to have financial education to use debt because it's dangerous.
If you go back in time, we had super ultra rich, but maybe they had a third of the wealth or 20%. Now it's 70+% is by less than 1%. Then that 1/10 of 1%, 6, the giant underclass on the middle class, that's the top 10%, which is the engine of success. Why would the elites not just set up this consolidation of power and money and have vertical integration, but then try to kill the engine of free market like they're rising up the ladder so no one, gets up it? Are they really trying to form a cold-blooded monopoly? That's why I like what you do. You're exposing what they're up to so that the average person can not be monopolized, or what are you up to?
Well, I hate to say this. The story of rich dad, poor dad. My poor dad went to Stanford, Northwestern University of Chicago. Very good man, and you would call him an elite, but they have no financial education, and they're more socialist than capitalist. That's where it starts. My concern is, without knowing it, the school system is complicit. They're big part of the program because they teach you to be poor. Remember, the U.S. dollar after 1971 became fake money designed by the Fed and the Treasury and Wall Street to steal your life and your wealth from you. So that's why when you save money, you get nothing for it. The first thing you do when you get your paycheck, taxes are sucked out of it. So why the rich are getting richer is about debt and taxes, how the rich, like when I get richer. I'm not saying you should do it or that it's not without risk, but you should be aware